Okay, so the invasive species that I decided to look at was feral cats. This species affects its environment in a number of negative ways, and now we're going to see if there are any positive effects that come with the species. So cats are invasive. Depending on the type of cat, they can be considered an invasive species. Domesticated cats who are living indoors and wild cats who have never been domesticated don't really count as a feral cat. One being because either they've never left their home, or the latter being because they're always in that natural habitat, being the natural apex predator. So, for instance, a species like the one in the picture of the lynx, they're native to North America and certain provinces of Canada where their prey species would be used to and acclimated to them being there. So from Felis sylvestris libica to Felis catus. Libica became the species that slowly turned into the modern species of cat that we have now. It took place about 9,000 years ago, and occurred in the Near Eastern and Egyptian populations. The dispersal of the domesticated cat occurred during the classical period, and then expanded exponentially due to maritime and terrestrial trade routes. Researchers found that coat color variants were found at high frequencies after the Middle Ages, suggesting that purposeful breeding of cats occurred later than other domesticated animals. So, what's so bad about cats? Cats cause a significant number of disturbances in their environments when they're not already naturally in them. They're super talented predators that have a wide range of food variability, meaning that they can eat prey of a wide variety, ranging from birds to reptiles, small mammals. Cats are also incredibly adaptable. They can survive in a wide range of environments and weather conditions, so they can adapt to cold weather, hot weather. It doesn't matter where they're at; they'll adapt to it. They are possibly the most irritating because of their spread, and that they are a charismatic animal. Nobody wants to hurt cats. Nobody wants to go and hunt them. There are even groups that support feral cats and seek to protect them because they are anti animal abuse. Feral cats are also a host for a number of diseases that they can easily spread to outdoor family cats. Feral cats can get in the way of natural predators by limiting resources. They can also have a huge effect on genetic homogeneity in groups, causing genes to just become all the same, and then they become more susceptible to genetic disorders. So I'm going to focus specifically my hypothesis on the impacts in reference to endemic species. Feral cats are devastating for endemic species that live on islands specifically because they have nowhere to go, and they're used to that environment. Island species also don't come into contact with many predators besides the natural ones that they have, so they can't really defend themselves from an apex predator. So on this slide, there are a bunch of pictures of figures and everything. It's basically a meta-analysis of species affected by feral cat populations. A lot of the areas that are affected are islands, and the most affected species is bird populations, which are heavily affected by cat predation. So what happens if we did eradicate feral cat species? I hypothesize that there are going to be some drawbacks to eradicating the species, but the overall outcome would be beneficial to a number of animals and plants, one being birds, shorebirds especially, natural predators, and plant diversity. So the experiment I proposed was to use an exclusion experiment. Feral cats would be totally eradicated from one island of choice, and then the results would be analyzed through species interactions, plant growth, population growth, hatch size, anything you can name that we would want to record, also going along with plant diversity and seed dispersal. I chose for this research to be completed in Bornholm, Denmark, because we oftentimes think of tropical islands as the area or as a term for island. And I wanted to see if the cold climate and high migration rates in this region had an effect on species that are endemic to Bornholm. So results that would support our hypothesis. Any species that has to deal with a feral cat population and their natural predator will now only have to focus on their one single natural predator. This puts way less pressure on their population and can therefore help them bounce back from any damage that could have occurred due to feral cats. Predator populations, like natural predators, would no longer have to strain themselves to compete with another predator that can easily catch its prey due to being in a novel environment. This will be especially beneficial to migratory birds that pass through Bornholm. Bornholm has a lot of rocky cliffs that shorebirds use to lay their eggs and everything, and it's often attacked by feral cats. So this will help their populations to rise more. Most of the species can get to where they're going in terms of migratory birds. And in the meantime, they'll be able to help seed dispersal and population control wherever they go. So if it's a shorebird that eats shrimp, they'll be able to help control that population and not have it boom. Because small seed-eating birds who are likely the prey of feral cats will not have as many predators anymore, they'll be unaffected by feral cats, and they will have a chance to disperse more seeds, which should in turn benefit plant diversity and plant growth. Results that don't support the hypothesis and negative impacts that can occur in relation to the eradication of feral cats is that they could have an opposite effect on bird species and natural predators. So, say a bird species is adapted to having feral cats on the island and produce more young to combat population decline, the sudden eradication could cause the populations to boom and then cause the populations to die off due to the lack of food. Natural predators may be at first fine, but after the bird populations crash, so too will the predator populations. Removing feral cats entirely could throw off the ecosystem so much that it would be out of balance for a while until it could reach its equilibrium. So, in conclusion, if not eradicating them everywhere, we should get them off of islands. Cats have a huge effect on endemic species, as you can see from the graphs that we had earlier. It's almost impossible to stop cats from reproducing because they have so many in one litter and no natural predators in many cases. So on continental land, it'll be incredibly hard to eradicate feral cats because they reproduce so much and because of a number of organizations that look to protect them. Endemic species, especially bird species, are most affected by feral cat populations, and these should be the main focus of protection and one of the main reasons why we would want to limit the populations of feral cats. And here's my works cited. Thank you.